Take time to know yourself. Don't make assumptions. No task is beneath you. You can't always get what you want. Don't make decisions when you're angry or excited. Treat others the way you want to be treated. These are all forms of advice that we've heard over time throughout our lives, whether requested or unsolicited. Welcome to Momentum Live. I'm Brooke Scott. So it's interesting, as we go through life, we will experience so many versions of advice. Advice that we've asked for, advice that we haven't asked for, mentors and coaching, different engagements. And it's interesting about advice because if it's done correctly, then both sides of the table will benefit from those. And if you're truly open to the guidance that you can receive for getting advice, not just looking for validation, you can develop, better solutions to problems than people would have developed ever on their own. When you ask for advice and you get advice from the correct person, the right mentor, someone with experience, it adds nuance and texture to your thinking. It can really help you overcome some biases that you may have, that you may know about, or that you may not know about. But there are absolute hurdles when it comes to giving advice. Sometimes, you think that you already have the answers. So you seek advice, but you're just looking for validation. Another hurdle is that you choose the wrong advisor. You choose someone who is bringing their own interests to the table, or perhaps isn't able to guide you through the process or give you direction. Another hurdle is discounting advice. We often hear advice, and although it may not validate what we want to hear or what we think, we tend to discount that as valuable advice. Another version of that is actually misjudging the quality of the advice. It's difficult to know what is good advice or bad advice. Sometimes there is overstepping boundaries in giving advice. We call this unsolicited advice, or overly giving your opinion versus helping someone navigate a situation that they are dealing with. Again, offering self-centered guidance, something that is serving based on your knowledge and where you come from, but with interests about forwarding something you want to attain in the process. And then last but not least, communicating advice poorly. So whether doing it in a way that's passive-aggressive or insulting, it's interesting because there are different ways to give advice, and this is what I really wanted to share with you today. And all this comes from this great Harvard Business Review article that I read. But there are 4 ways to really give advice. The first way is discrete advice, and what that's going to be is exploring options for just a single decision. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is create recommendations in favor of or against certain options. So we think about that, pros and cons, whether we should do one thing or another, but it's a single decision. So the second form of advice is going to be counsel. So counsel is providing guidance on how to approach a complex or unfamiliar situation. This would be giving someone a framework or a process for understanding or navigating a situation. Again, something they've never been through before. Coaching is the third version of giving advice. The third version of giving advice is going to be enhancing someone's skills, their self-awareness, and their self-management. Again, you're not trying to solve the problem for them, but you're trying to coach them through the process so that they can solve it for themselves. Again, this really focuses on personal and professional development. And then last but not least, mentoring. Mentoring is an opportunity to provide guidance and protection to aid in success. This is a relationship that's dedicated to building, sustaining personal and professional growth and personal advancement, career or otherwise. So I thought it was kind of interesting, the different versions of giving advice and understanding the pitfalls, because it is something that we do so naturally. But again, as we are able to give advice and do it in such a way that gives soft influence, that helps other people shape and make important decisions, it empowers them to act as opposed to telling people what to do. So I thought this was interesting. I would love to hear your favorite piece of advice that you've either given or been given to others. Drop that below. Let me know. I would love to read through them. They are always, it's always fun to get some funny ones, but to get some really important nuggets of knowledge. I hope you guys have a great Monday and a great week, and I'll see y'all next week.